Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer and today I'm gamesplaining Castell. So this is Castell set up as a 2-player game. The only thing that is different with a 3 or 4 player game is the number of these that are on each city and the number of city performances that are available, and you're judging by what it says. So this one has a picture of 2+, so all of the 2+ are covered for a 2-player game, 3-player game, 3-player game, 4-player game. That does not, however, change the length of the game. If you look really closely, these 2 spots all live within the same turn. They're both under 5. Those 2 are under 6, those 2 7, etc. So just be very aware of that. It's only 3 and 4 that have the single element on each of them. So what you are trying to do in this game is build human pyramids. You start with 7 tiles. They're drawn from a bag, giant bag, that says Castell on it, so you know where it's coming from. At the moment, you can see this player has 2 of the 9s. He only has 1 10. So there's no point in putting that in to start with, and he's only got 1 of each of the others. So theoretically, his starting pyramid will look like that. Each of the numbers needs to go to a smaller number as you go higher up the pyramid. It doesn't matter if you skip over a number, so theoretically on top of that 9, we could very easily just put that 2. That's absolutely fine. Your starting pyramid size can have a maximum of 3 guys in the bottom layer, 2 on the second layer, and 1 on the top layer. That will change through the game as these elements get pushed up and trained to have different variations of that. And I'll talk a bit more about it as we're going on. So how does the game play? I'm so glad you asked. This is first player marker. The first player will choose one of the locations to start at. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 locations. This one is joined to there, there, and there. That is very important to understand what the joining is, because when you move, you're only going to be able to move 1 location at a time. So each player will do everything on their turn, but you can do everything in whatever order you wish to do it. So the options for things that you can do is move. So on the very first turn, you'll just choose one of the locations. If it's on a future turn, he might be there. He can move. He can either move to there, or to there. So let's just say he goes to there. You can recruit. Recruiting is taking 2 of the available Castellers, which are these guys, into your lineup of all of the guys that you've got. So for example, he might choose to recruit those 2 6s, which now gives him a base layer of 3 that he can build off. The problem is he only has 1 5 and 1 2, but a 2 can't just sit directly on top of the 5 because he'd need to have 2 5s for this 2 to be able to stand. So that's kind of what his human pyramid looks like at this point in time. The next thing he can do, however, is train. Now, what training looks like is looking at this wheel. He can either go to the training that is available in the location that he's standing, which is there, which allows him to train his balance, or he can train the all regions, which is allowing a mix. So what each of these things enable is for you to move these markers up. Let's just talk through them really quickly. So balance, which is this one, if that was sitting there, that would allow him to put the same number of guys on top of the same number once. If that's moved to there, he could do that twice. But because it's there, he can only do it once. If he were to move the mix up to the 1, that would allow him to do 1 layer of mixed guys. Now, here's the deal with the mix. You can only mix the same size guys. So 10 and 9, they're actually the same size token. 8 and 7 are the same size. 6 and 5 are the same size. 4 and 3 are the same. 2 and 1 are the same. So when you're doing that mix, you can only mix the same size. So he could theoretically have a pyramid that looks like that. So we've got one mix and we've got one level that is the same size as previously. This one's the width. When you move the width up, that allows you to have more guys on the bottom. So that would allow him to have a 4-person bottom that he can then build off. If you move that up, he'd be able to have 5 on the bottom. This one allows you to have any number that you wish on the bottom, but the next layer up would normally have to be 3, but because that's there, the next layer up can be a 4. And then the strength allows for you to put the same number onto levels. So they need to be strong to be able to hold another number 6. And once again, if this one's further up, it says you can do it on more levels than just the one extra. So that's all these guys. And you're going to gradually move these up throughout the game, and they will change your ability to make your pyramid to whatever height it needs to be or to whatever size it needs to be. What size does it need to be? I'm glad you asked. You are working towards either these tokens, so you need to be in the appropriate city. So at the moment, he's in Tarragona, which is basically saying that he wants to have both that one and that one trained. So they need to be on level 1, and he needs to be in Tarragona for him to be able to actually gain that. That would gain him 4 points at the end of the game. If you wish to gain this one, he'd need that on level 1. This one would need to be on level 2, and that one would also need to be on level 2. And he needs to be in Tarragona to be able to achieve that. These ones that look like that are basically saying that they're looking for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels of your pyramid to be the same size, to have 3 people on it. In order to make that happen, you're going to need to get this moved to the top and have enough guys to make up 3 in each layer. And then you go to Barcelona and you can perform the local performance. So I have this card. Every player will have this card, which has those 3 things that we did. So move, recruit, which is picking up 2 guys, train, which is moving these things up into the spots to allow different sizes and shapes on your pyramid. And then the special action. So that local performance I was just talking about, that is a special action. Another special action that you may wish to do is to move your pawn to a adjacent location. So he could do all the stuff there and then move to there, or move to there, for example. Or the other one that is allowed with the special action is to take another guy out of the location. When you do the special action, you spend one of these stars doing a special action. So he gained 1 from Tarragona, he would put his marker down there. When you take one of these 2, that's when you put the marker over here. You have 7 of those. There are 10 turns total. So there will be 3 turns where you can't do a special action. Just bear that in mind. Once all that has happened, that's the end of his turn. It goes to the next player, etc. When each player has had 1 turn, this turns 1, so that where you're standing will do a different training. This moves forward 1 to the second turn. When we turn to the third turn, you'll notice this little marking. That means to refill the locations up to the number of people that you need for the player count that you have. The other thing that's going to happen at the end of the round, so once everyone's taken their turn, anyone who's managed to make it into this city, which is just there, and has a number 4 in their pyramid. So let's imagine that during his turn, he's managed to pick that one up. What they're now doing is create the tallest human pyramid that they can. So he hasn't moved anything up at the moment. Just imagine that he had, it doesn't really matter too much. So let's say for example, he's had 2 turns. So we're on turn 3. So he would have moved 3 things up. Let's say for example, he's managed to move that one up. He's managed to move that one up and just move that one up as well. So what that now would allow is for a pyramid to be built. This one allows the 9s and 10s to be on the same level. This one allows there to be 2 levels the same size. The problem is these 7s can't get in there, but we can allow that. So let's say, for example, that is the pyramid that they've managed to build. By building that pyramid, he has 1, 2, 3. He's looking for a number 4, which is there. So that gives him another point. So that is worth 4 points to him. And you move that along to the 4. On a future turn, when you build a pyramid, you might get 10 points. When you get 10 points, you literally just move it to the number 10. So at the moment, we're not actually scoring points on top of points. We're just scoring the highest points value that you have. So down here, you'll notice there are multiple tokens within the pyramid that you need. You need to show that you've got all of those numbers. There are medals that come out now. If you're playing a 2-player game, you're only dealing with the silver and bronze. If you're playing a 3 or 4-player game, you have gold as well. And it's basically whoever has the most points in that city will get the gold if you're on 3 or 4, or if you're on a 2-player game, as we are, a silver. It would go into the city spot on your own board. Whoever came in second would get the next one down. So in 2-player game, the bronze. But blue didn't compete in that because they don't have number 4. They wouldn't be allowed to compete unless they'd managed to somehow pick up a number 4. So that doesn't get given to anyone. If this guy had competed as well, he would get the bronze. So that's 3 points and 1 point at the end of the game. Then the players each count up how many number 4s they have because of this token. So this one has 1 number 4, and that goes into that city. What's going to happen at the end of the game, you will gain points. You are going to get the tallest tower, so you've already marked that through the game. Then, any region where you have earned a prize, so that's a prize, you will gain points. There is a chart that shows a growing number of points per region. So you really want to make sure you try and get as many regions as possible. So he's gaining these points for any marker that is on there. So at the moment he's got 2, which is worth 1 point. Then you earn the points for the prizes. These are the prizes, so 3 points for that. And then you earn, for every one of these markers that you have that is different, you earn 2 points. And for every second or third marker of the same number, you earn another point. Then you're adding up any points on the top corner of any of the local performances that you've done. So when you've done that, you take that, put it face down, it's been done, no one else can do that one. And that one will be worth 5 points at the end of the game. And whoever has the highest points is the winner. I think that that is everything for Castell. Please go ahead and watch my gameplay to get a feel for how the game actually plays. If you have any comments or suggestions, please write them below. If you have any games that you would like to be gamesplained, please shoot me an email to thegamesplainer@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter @thegamesplainer to keep up to date with the games that I'm playing. Subscribe to my videos to keep up to date with the games that I'm gamesplaining. And until next time, enjoy gaming.